Assalamu alaikum everyone, Jesse here with Canadian Islamic Wealth. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today I'm going to be talking about critical illness insurance, whether or not it is halal, whether or not it is the right financial decision for you, and how to best set yours up both for the halal aspect of it and to make sure that is doing the most for you for your money. But before I get into it, please make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so that you can come back for more videos. So, critical illness insurance, what is it? Let's start there. Well, critical illness insurance was a type of insurance that was invented back in the 90s. Basically, when people got sick with heart attack or a stroke or cancer,
Oh no! Cancer!
what would happen is it was a death sentence. But because of the advancements in medical research and treatments for all of these type of things, the people who typically get these things end up surviving. But when they do survive, what happens is they need time to recover. And during this time of recovery, they are without work, they are without a paycheck, different things like this. So the insurance companies created critical illness insurance as a way to kind of bridge that gap. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking, oh, well, we have free healthcare in Canada. I don't really need critical illness insurance. Wrong, you do. Although, Alhumdulillah, we do have some level of free healthcare here in Canada, ultimately, you will not be able and you will not get paid for the time you take off work typically. So if you are off of work for 1 year or 2 years or whatever amount of time it takes you to recover from a critical illness, the issue isn't you not paying medical bills, but it's upkeeping your family and your lifestyle. Imagine not being able to pay the rent. Imagine not being able to afford food. Imagine not being able to do all of these type of things in a time where really all you should really be focused on is getting well. That is what critical illness insurance was created for. So one of the things I've seen all too often within our community is GoFundMe campaigns and community fundraisers for people who are in financial trouble because of the fact that somebody got sick. They had cancer, they had a heart attack, they had a stroke, they had another disease, and they can't work, right? And the spouse can't really work because they're helping them go from one appointment to another, and they fall behind on their bills and their heating and their hydro and their rent and whatever the case may be. And now they're on the verge of bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy!
And so as a community, we try to come together to help these people. MashaAllah, it's fantastic that we try to do these things. However, what we can do is we can do something preventative so that we never end up in that situation. And that is setting up critical illness insurance. Let me show you how we would do it.
Okay, so I'm going to show you quickly how we set up a Canada Life policy. For the purposes of this policy, this one is a term to, basically retirement, term to 75. But you can set up for a 10-year term. You can set it up, to be done within 20 years or 15 years. Those are typically more expensive. But for the purposes of this, I'm using the Canada Life illustration. And I'm showing you a 35-year-old non-smoking male. Now, keep in mind that what I typically recommend for people is that you set up 1 to 2 years of your salary. So if you're in $50,000 a year, at minimum, you should be setting up $50,000 a year in critical illness insurance. At most, you should be setting up probably $100,000. You can do more, you can do less. Something is always better than nothing. Now, the one thing I will say is that if you do have some coverage through your work, you can sort of make an amount based off of the math, right? So let's say you're covered through work for $20,000, then maybe you only need $80,000 of coverage. If you're covered for $10,000, maybe you need $90,000 of coverage, right? Assuming you earn that sort of $50,000 a year. So that's something to keep in mind. If you earn $100,000 a year, maybe you need $200,000. But so those are some things to just kind of keep in mind. Now, one thing I always add to every single one of these is return of premium. So all this money you kind of see here on the right-hand side, it's not gone, right? When you reach the age of retirement, you're going to get all of that back, assuming you don't get sick. Now, one thing that a lot of people wonder is, does it only cover cancer, heart attack, and stroke? And the answer to that is no. It does cover more than that. I just mentioned cancer, heart attack, stroke because those are kind of the most common things that people go through. But there are other issues that are covered. So if we look, brain injuries, bacterial meningitis, kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, burns. So it covers a lot of different things. And one thing worth noting is that you can also set up a bunch of different benefits to go with the policy, right? So a really common one that a lot of people use is second event, right? Sometimes if you get a heart attack or a cancer or whatever, like it can come back, right? Or you can have another heart attack, you can have another stroke. So this would pay you another benefit on top of the benefit that you would get if there is a second event. And most importantly, I just want to point out that at the age of retirement, you're going to get back everything you put in, assuming you don't get sick.
So at the end of the day, that's how you would set up a critical illness insurance plan so that it would be halal. And the reason why that is halal, because at the end of the day, it avoids interest, it avoids uncertainty, right? In the sense that you either get the payout if you get sick, but if nothing happens, you can get 100% of your money back by the time you go to retire. Now, the last thing you need to ask yourself is the question, is critical illness insurance the right financial decision for me? Is it the expense worth it? And that all boils down to you and your own personal situation. So there's a few factors that you need to consider before you go off and buy private critical illness insurance. And the first one is whether or not you have something that's actually covered through work. A lot of people who have group benefits plan do have some form of critical illness insurance covered in there. From my own personal experience, what I have seen is it's usually between $10,000 and $20,000 unless there is more. Now, typically, by going for some type of critical illness program through your work, it'll be a lot cheaper than setting it up privately. However, you do have to consider the fact that if you change jobs or you get laid off or let go, that critical illness insurance may not be there. And so if you have to apply for something private at a later date, because of your health and whatever the case may be, you may get declined or the prices might go up. So that is something certainly worth considering. The other thing is, do you have the money to support yourself for a few years if you were to get some type of cancer, heart attack, or stroke? Sometimes people do have the money to take care of that type of thing, right? If you are a multimillionaire or you have sort of businesses that are set up in a way where you get passive income all the time, you may not really even need critical illness insurance. And the last thing is family history. If your family has a perfect, clean health history, no history of heart disease or cancer or heart attack or stroke or any of these things, you may be okay if you don't get any type of critical illness insurance. However, that's one of those things that I certainly wouldn't want to gamble my family's financial future on, just based on something that happened with my parents. Times have changed, things are different now. To me, it's really not worth it. And so for $100 a month, maybe $50 a month, $60 a month, putting something in place, in my opinion, is the right thing to do. And remember, the way we set this up as Muslims is that money is not gone, right? If you don't get sick, you will get all of it back. But I'm certain that you'll be glad that you have it if something happens, so that you can put your family in the best financial position possible. I hope this helps. I hope this answers your questions. Jazakallah khair, assalamu alaikum. And if you want a little bit of extra help and you want a free quote of critical illness insurance specifically tailored to your situation, make sure you click the link below, book a free call with me, and we can set that up for you lickety split. Assalamu alaikum. Have a great day.